Hello everyone, my name is Connor Wolf and this is the third development log for Dryad. In the last video, I showed you my pipeline for designing levels and putting them into Unity. In this video, I'm going to show you how I've adapted those levels to make them look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and discuss my plans for managing save files in the system. To start, let's take a look at the final product and then see how we got there. This is a very big improvement over what the testing area looked like, so let's go through it step by step. My first task was to take the image that I had sketched out the levels on and break them up into distinct rooms. That way I could position and scale them in Unity to where I needed them to be. Next, I did my best to draw over those drawings with Unity's tilemap system. While I would have loved to use a scriptable tile system, I found that drawing out the world by hand gave me more freedom to create my vision, without having to invest the time into coding. I was also worried that if I was using pre-programmed tiles, they would behave in a very rigid way that would limit the level design. After I had the framework for each room drawn out, I made sure to add my organic shapes using the sprite shape package. Combining these two strategies, I could very quickly mock up areas of the game while still making them look natural. During this stage, I also added water into each of the areas as needed because I'm using sprite shapes for that as well. Once those steps were done, I made each room link up using the door editor system that I created. If you're interested in seeing more about that, you can check out my first devlog on the project where I talked about how I created it and what it's used for. Now we have the rooms fully created and linking to each other, however they still look pretty plain, so let's work on that. First thing I did was create a few extra tile maps that would not act as collisions, just as decoration. I created one tile map for the far background, one for the near background, and one for small bits of detail like grass and vines. By playing with the appearance of these three tile maps, I was able to transform the few art assets that I had into a more visually stimulating image that felt much more alive. Next, I wanted to give a bit of motion to the rooms. One of my big issues with Cave Story is that many of the levels feel really static from place to place. I wanted to make sure that the locations in my game felt much more alive. So in the grotto here, I'd really like to give a feeling of peace and tranquility, so I decided to create a little particle system that rains leaves from the canopy above. I think it gives the area a sort of end of fall vibe, which I really enjoy. I was already pretty happy with how the grotto looked, but I had a very specific image in mind. You know how in every commercial or ad that takes place in a forest, there's always that beam of light that shines right down onto whatever the subject is? I wanted something like that. I tried a few different ways of doing it, like using semi-transparent objects or using Unity's 3D system with some custom materials on the sprites, but it really just wasn't working. So I settled on using the Universal Render Pipeline's experimental 2D renderer. Now, this might end up biting me in the long run, but right now, I really enjoy how it looks. After configuring the renderer and placing down the lights, I slapped some final post-processing on the camera and was left with this final result. There's still a ton that I need to do for the game. My latest endeavor is still a work in progress, but here it is. This is a semi-functional title screen for the game. Right now, it's going to send you into just the first level of the game, but I hope that I can figure out how to tackle saving and save states. I think my plan right now is to use some sort of scriptable object that stores information, like how many player health upgrades you've had, and your current health, and your location, and the weapons you've unlocked, and then somehow use those objects to generate the available script files. That way, a person could have as many script files as they wanted, and you could essentially share them if you needed. If you have any thoughts on how saving could be done or made a little bit more efficiently, I'd love to hear about it. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the people who have been showing me support on the project. Specifically, I'd like to give a big shout out to Zykudo over on YouTube, who left an awesome comment detailing some of his concerns with how the current level up system works. I'd like to also say thanks to everyone on the Cave Story and Metroidvania subreddits. You guys have been a huge help, and I love the feedback you guys have been giving me. It really means a lot that you guys are interested in the game. It helps me work. Now, I know it's a bit of a cliche to ask for likes or upvotes, but any support really helps me stay motivated on the project. I'd love it if you could voice your thoughts down below and what you think of the game currently. Hearing from you guys really makes my day. I plan for the next devlog to be all about the combat system and how I'm going to be tweaking the weapons. And so if you're interested in seeing that, make sure you keep yourself posted and stay tuned. So I'll see you guys next time. This is Dryad. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.